Do-hyun Park looked out the window of the training shuttle as it entered the atmosphere of Nexus 7. The red-orange clouds outside made him think of the sunsets back home in Seoul. But unlike Earth's gentle weather, these clouds could kill a person in seconds. 5 minutes to landing zone, called Jin-ho from the pilot's seat. His hands moved quickly over the controls as the shuttle shook. Mayray checked her tablet one more time. Weather readings are getting worse, she said. The storm is growing faster than expected. Do-hyun nodded. As team leader, he had to make sure everyone was ready. This was supposed to be a simple 3-day survival training exercise. Land on the planet, set up camp, and show their alien teachers how well humans could handle tough conditions. But something felt wrong. Ta-won, how are our systems? Do-hyun asked. All green, Ta-won answered from the engineering station. But there's a lot of electrical activity in those clouds. It's making our shields work extra hard. Hae-yoon finished checking their medical supplies. Everyone's health monitors are working, she said. But I don't like these atmospheric readings. The toxic levels are higher than our briefing showed. The shuttle dropped lower through the clouds. The 5 human cadets were the only Earth representatives at the Galactic Federation Space Academy this year. They had to prove that humans could handle themselves on dangerous worlds. Suddenly, all the screens in the shuttle started flashing red. Solar flare, Jin-ho shouted. A big one. It wasn't in any of the forecasts. The shuttle's engines screamed as strange lights filled the sky. Do-hyun grabbed his safety harness as the ship jerked to one side. We're losing communications, Mayray reported. Her voice was calm, but her knuckles were white as she held onto her station. The radiation is too strong. We can't reach the academy. Multiple systems failing, Ta-won added. The shields can't handle this much power. We need to land now. Do-hyun looked at his team. They were all trained for emergency situations, but this was real. Through the windows, he could see the ground getting closer. The landscape was rocky and bare, with strange crystal formations glowing in the dim light. There, Hae-yoon pointed to something in the distance. I see a structure, some kind of building. Jin-ho turned the shuttle toward it. The engines were starting to make worrying sounds. It's an old research station, he said. I remember seeing it on the maps. It's been abandoned for years. The storm was getting worse. Lightning bolts bigger than skyscrapers split the sky. The shuttle's computer started speaking in its flat voice. Warning. Shield failure imminent. Warning. Landing gear compromised. Warning. Atmospheric pressure exceeding safety limits. Everyone brace for emergency landing. Do-hyun ordered. Jin-ho, get us as close to that station as you can. Hae-yoon, prepare emergency medical gear. Ta-won, Mayray, grab the survival packs. The shuttle hit the ground hard. Metal screamed. Sparks flew from broken panels. But Jin-ho's piloting skills kept them from crashing. They skidded to a stop just a few hundred meters from the abandoned building. Everyone okay? Do-hyun asked, checking his team. They nodded, already unstrapping and grabbing equipment. Through the shuttle's cracked windows, they could see the storm getting closer. The clouds were turning an angry purple color. Strange animal cries echoed across the rocks. The shuttle's not going to protect us from that storm, Ta-won said, looking at his readings. Those energy levels would cook us alive in here. Mayray was studying the building ahead. It's Carthy architecture, she said. Their buildings are made to last forever. If we can get inside, then that's our best chance, Do-hyun decided. Grab everything useful you can carry. We move in 60 seconds. As his team prepared for a run through the toxic air to the mysterious alien building, Do-hyun felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. This wasn't the training mission they had planned for. But maybe it was a chance to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The run to the alien building was the longest 3 minutes of their lives. Even through their protective suits, they could feel the burning air of Nexus 7. Do-hyun led the way, carrying the heaviest equipment pack. Behind him, Ta-1 and Jin-Ho each held part of the emergency power unit. Mai-Ray and Hae-Yoon brought up the rear with medical supplies and research equipment. The alien structure loomed ahead of them, a dark gray tower made of smooth metal that seemed to absorb the light. Lightning flashed overhead, making the building's surface shimmer like water. The main entrance is sealed, Ta-1 called out as they reached the building. He put down his load and ran his scanner over the door. But it's still got power. Very low, but it's there. Mai-Ray stepped forward, studying the control panel beside the door. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface. "This is older than anything we studied at the academy," she said. "But I recognize some of these marks. They're Carthy security symbols." A deep rumble of thunder made them all look back. The storm was getting closer. The crystals in the ground around them were starting to glow brighter, responding to the electrical energy in the air. "Whatever you're going to do it fast," Hae-Yoon said, watching her atmospheric scanner. "These toxicity levels are rising. Our suits won't handle it much longer." Do-hyun made a quick decision. "Ta-1, can you override it?" "Not quickly enough." Ta-1 shook his head, but there might be another way. "These old Carthy buildings always had emergency systems, if we can find the right access point." He moved along the wall, scanning carefully. The others followed, trying to stay close to the building as the wind grew stronger. Strange cries echoed from the distance. The local wildlife was also seeking shelter from the storm. Here, Ta-1 stopped at what looked like a maintenance panel. "Mai-Ray, can you read these warnings?" Mai-Ray studied the faded symbols. "It's a security bypass, but it needs a power source to activate." "Good thing we brought one," Jin-Ho said, setting down the power unit he'd been carrying. Working together, Ta-1 and Mai-Ray connected their power unit to the panel. The others formed a protective circle around them, watching the approaching storm. The purple clouds were now shot through with streaks of green lightning. The panel suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow. Mai-Ray's fingers moved quickly over the symbols. "Emergency protocols accepting our input," she said. "The Carthy built their systems to help any sentient life in danger. We just have to prove we're intelligent enough to understand their technology." A series of clicks and whirs came from inside the wall. Then, with a hiss of ancient machinery, a section of the wall slid aside, revealing the dark corridor. "Everyone inside," Do-hyun ordered. "Now." They rushed in just as the first wave of the storm hit. The wall sealed behind them automatically, cutting off the howling wind. Emergency lights flickered to life, revealing a long hallway lined with strange equipment. "Hae-Yoon, check everyone for radiation exposure," Do-hyun said, removing his helmet. The air inside was stale but breathable. "Ta-1, see if you can get more power to these systems. Mai-Ray, start translating any warnings or maps you can find. Jin-Ho, try to set up a communication station. We need to let the Academy know we're alive." As his team got to work, Do-hyun studied their surroundings. The corridors stretched deep into the building, branching off in several directions. Strange symbols and diagrams covered the walls. Some pieces of equipment still hummed with power, while others sat silent and dark. "Do-hyun," Mai-Ray called from where she was studying a wall panel. "I think I know what this place is. It's not just a research station. According to these symbols, this was a terraforming control center. They were trying to change the whole planet." A low vibration ran through the building, making everyone freeze. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, something that had been sleeping for a very long time was starting to wake up. "Well," Jin-Ho said quietly, "at least we're out of the storm." Do-hyun checked his weapon and turned on his light. "All right, team, let's find out what else is in here with us. Stay together, stay alert, and remember, we're Deathworlders. Whatever this place throws at us, we can handle it." Mai-Ray sat at the main control station, her eyes moving quickly over the alien text that filled the screens. She had been working for 6 hours straight, trying to understand the facility's systems. The others brought her water and food, but she barely noticed them. She was too focused on solving the puzzle in front of her. "I think I've got it," she said suddenly, making Do-hyun jump. He had been standing guard nearby. "These aren't just research logs. They're warnings." Tae-won looked up from where he was fixing a power conduit. "Warnings about what?" "The planet." May-ray's face was serious as she brought up more screens. "The Carthy didn't abandon this facility because they failed. They left because they succeeded too well." Hae-yoon moved closer to look at the screens. Even after 3 days in the facility, the soft blue glow of alien technology still felt strange. "What do you mean, succeeded too well?" May-ray pointed to a diagram that showed the planet's core. "They were trying to make Nexus 7 suitable for their people to live on. The terraforming equipment was supposed to change the atmosphere and calm the storms, but something went wrong." A loud crash of thunder from outside made them all jump. The storm had been getting worse for days. "The equipment is still running," May-ray continued. "It's been running for hundreds of years. But instead of making the planet calmer, it's making it more unstable. The storms are getting stronger. The wildlife is mutating. The Carthy couldn't shut it down, so they sealed it away and left warnings for anyone who might find it." Do-hyun frowned. "Can we shut it down?" "Maybe." Tae-won had moved to another console. "The main controls are locked, but the emergency systems are still active. That's how we got in. If we can understand them better." Jin-ho's voice came through their communicators. He was in another room, trying to fix their communications equipment. "Hey, guys, you might want to come see this." They found Jin-ho in what looked like a security center. The walls were covered in screens showing different parts of the facility, but he was pointing at one screen in particular. "I got some of the cameras working," he said. "This is the lower level." The screen showed a huge room filled with massive machines. Strange energy patterns danced between them, creating webs of light that pulsed like heartbeats. "That's the terraforming core," May-ray said, reading the symbols on the screen. "It's drawing power from the planet itself. The storms aren't just weather. They're the planet fighting back against the machines." Hae-yoon checked her medical scanner. "The energy readings down there are off the charts. No wonder the local wildlife is changing. Everything on this planet is being affected by that power." Suddenly, all the lights in the facility flickered. The ground shook slightly. "Power surge," Tae-won said, checking his equipment. "The storm is feeding energy back into the system. The machines are trying to use it." Do-hyun looked at his team. They were tired and worried, but he saw determination in their eyes. "May-ray, keep working on those logs. Find out everything you can about how to control these machines. Tae-won, see if you can redirect some of that power. We might need it. Jin-ho, don't stop trying to contact the Academy. Hae-yoon, we need to know how this energy might affect us." "What are you going to do?" Hae-yoon asked. Do-hyun checked his equipment. "I'm going down to that lower level. We need to see these machines up close. Someone has to figure out how to stop them before they tear this planet apart." "Not alone. You're not," May-ray said firmly. "Give me an hour to finish translating the safety protocols. Then we go together." Earth taught us something the Carthy never learned. Sometimes the best way to fix a problem is to work as a team. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, 5 human cadets prepared to face a challenge that had defeated one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. But they had something the Carthy didn't have. They were Deathworlders, born on a planet that had taught them to never give up. The security screen showed something large moving outside the facility. Its shape was hard to make out through the storm, but it was definitely alive. Jin-ho adjusted the cameras, trying to get a better view. "That's not normal wildlife," he said, pointing to the screen. "Look at how it's glowing." The creature moved closer to the facility walls. It looked like a mix between an earth crocodile and a praying mantis, but it was much bigger than either. Purple energy crackled along its armored shell. The terraforming energy has changed it, Mayray said, studying the readings. These animals have been absorbing the machine's power for hundreds of years. They're evolving to use it. A loud bang echoed through the facility. The creature was testing the walls. How strong are these barriers? Du-hyun asked Ta-won. Strong, Ta-won answered, checking the building systems. But that thing is charged with the same energy that powers this whole facility. It might be able to interfere with our defenses. Another bang, louder this time. Hae-yoon's medical scanner started beeping. We've got more company, she said. I'm picking up at least 3 more life signs approaching. They're all showing similar energy patterns. Do-hyun made a quick decision. Ta-won, can you get the facility's defense systems working? Some of them, Ta-won said. The Carthy left automatic defenses, but they're meant to keep things in, not out. I'll have to reprogram them. The creature outside slammed into the walls again. This time, sparks of energy ran through the facility's lights. It's disrupting our power, Mayray warned. Each hit is causing feedback in the systems. Jin-ho was moving between security stations. The other creatures are getting closer. They're working together, surrounding us. Hae-yoon checked their supplies. If they get in, our weapons might not work against them. That energy field around them could block our shots. Another hit made the whole room shake. Pieces of ceiling fell nearby. Mayray, help Ta-won with those defenses, Du-hyun ordered. Jin-ho, keep tracking them. Hae-yoon, we need options if they breach the walls. Mayray and Ta-won worked quickly at the main console. Strange symbols flashed across the screens as they reprogrammed the ancient security systems. The Carthy used energy fields for defense. Mayray explained as she worked. If we can match the frequency of the creature's energy, we can use their own power against them. Ta-won finished her thought, like turning them into living batteries. A different alarm started blaring. Jin-ho's face went pale as he looked at his screens. They're not just trying to break in anymore, he said. They're channeling energy into the walls. The same kind of energy the terraforming machines produce. The facility's lights flickered wildly. The air felt heavy with static electricity. They're trying to overload our systems, Ta-won realized. If they pump in too much power. Done. Mayray shouted. Her fingers flew over the controls. Defense grid coming online. Blue energy fields appeared around the facility's walls. The creature's next attack hit the field instead of the building. There was a bright flash and a sound like thunder. Through the security cameras, they watched the creatures stumble back, stunned by their own reflected energy. But they weren't retreating. They're learning, Hae-yoon said quietly. Look at how they're changing their attack pattern. She was right. The creatures were already trying different approaches, testing the energy field for weaknesses. Do-hyun looked at his team. They were tired, but their earth training was showing through. Where others might panic, they stayed focused. The defense field buys us time, he said, but we need a better solution. Those creatures aren't just mindless animals anymore. The terraforming energy has made them something new. If we're going to survive this, we need to think like Deathworlders. We need to adapt faster than they do. Outside, the mutated creatures gathered for another attack. Inside, 5 humans prepared to face them, armed with determination and 10,000 years of survival instincts from Earth. The real test was just beginning. 7 days had passed since they first entered the facility. The food supplies from their emergency packs were running low. Hae-yoon looked at their remaining rations with concern as she took inventory in their makeshift living area. We have enough for 3 more days, she reported to Do-hyun. Maybe 4 if we reduce portions again. Do-hyun nodded, his face tired but determined. The constant attacks from the mutated creatures had forced them to use more energy than planned, making them need more food. The sound of Ta-won working on equipment echoed through the facility's halls. Mayray walked in from the control room, holding her tablet. The water recycling system is working, but the power fluctuations are making it unstable. We might need to find another solution soon. Jin-Ho's voice came through their communicators. He was in the security room. As usual, the creatures are still out there. They're waiting. I think they know our defenses are getting weaker. The team gathered in their main room. The once strange alien walls now felt almost familiar, almost like home. But they could all feel the pressure building. I need to tell you something, Mayri said quietly. I found more research data. The Carthy didn't just leave because the terraforming went wrong. They left because the animals started showing signs of intelligence. The energy wasn't just changing their bodies. It was changing their minds. The room went silent. Even the distant hum of machinery seemed quieter. You mean they're getting smarter? He-Yun asked. Is that why their attacks keep getting more organized? Tai-One walked in, wiping dirt from his hands. That explains what I found in the lower levels. The machines aren't just putting out random energy. They're creating patterns, like they're trying to communicate with something. Do-Hyun felt the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. His team was tired, hungry, and now facing an enemy that was growing more intelligent by the day. We need to make a decision, he said. Our power is limited. We can either keep the defenses running at full strength, or we can try to boost the communication array that Jin-Ho built. We might not have enough energy for both. The choice hung in the air, safety versus the chance of rescue. No one spoke for a moment. The Academy must be looking for us, He-Yun said. But with these storms, they might never find us unless we can send them a strong signal. Mayri was studying her data. The creatures are most active during the storm peaks. If we time it right, we might be able to lower the defenses just enough to power the communicator. That's risky. Jin-Ho's voice crackled through the speakers. One mistake in the timing. Everything about this place is risky, Tai-One interrupted. We're Deathworlders. Risk is what we're good at. Do-Hyun looked at each member of his team. He saw fear in their eyes, but he also saw something stronger. The same spirit that had helped their ancestors survive on Earth. We'll take a vote, he said. This affects all of us. Each person gets a say. One by one, they made their choices. Some hands shook as they were raised, but every voice was clear. The vote was unanimous. They would risk lowering the defenses to call for help. As they prepared for their dangerous plan, an alert sounded from the security room. Jin-Ho's voice was tense. You need to see this, he said. The creatures, they're working together to build something outside. And you won't believe what it looks like. The team rushed to the security screens, their internal problems temporarily forgotten. What they saw made them realize their challenges were far from over. The security screens showed something impossible. The creatures outside had gathered pieces of broken equipment and crystal formations. They were arranging them in a pattern that looked exactly like the facility's power distribution system. They're not just getting smarter, Mayri whispered. They're learning from us. Learning from the facility itself. Do-Hyun studied the screens carefully. The creatures moved with purpose now, each one knowing its task. Their energy fields pulsed in sync with the facility's power systems. Ta-One, he called over the communicator. What would happen if they managed to copy our power grid out there? They could match our energy frequency perfectly, Ta-One replied from the engineering station. Our defenses would be useless. They'd be able to walk right through them. He-Yun's medical scanner started beeping rapidly. The energy readings are changing. Their fields are getting stronger, more organized. It's like they're building their own version of the terraforming machines. Jin-Ho worked quickly at the communication console he had built. I think I know why the Carthy really left, he said. They didn't just make the planet unstable. They created something they couldn't control. A new kind of intelligence. Mayri suddenly straightened up, her eyes wide. That's it, she said. The facility's true purpose. It wasn't just meant to change the planet. It was an experiment in creating new life forms. The Carthy were trying to uplift the native species. The facility's lights flickered as another power surge hit. Through the windows, they could see the storm growing stronger, feeding energy into both the facility and the creature's makeshift power grid. So what do we do? Hae-Yoon asked. We can't fight them. We can't keep hiding. And now we know they're not just animals we can scare away. Do-hyun looked at his team. Despite everything, he saw hope in their faces. Humans had faced impossible situations before. It was part of their history, part of who they were. Myrae, he said, you said the machines create patterns, like they're trying to communicate. Yes, she nodded. The energy pulses follow specific sequences, almost like a language. Jin-Ho, can you modify your communication array to match those patterns? Jin-Ho thought for a moment. Maybe. But we'd need more power. A lot more. We'll give you all of it, Do-hyun decided. Taiwan, start redirecting power from everything except life support. Myrae, help Jin-Ho translate the energy patterns into something we can transmit. What are you thinking? Hae-Yoon asked. The Karthi tried to control these creatures, to make them what they wanted them to be. But we're going to try something different, something more human. Do-hyun smiled. We're going to talk to them. The next hours were intense. Taiwan reworked the power systems while Myrae and Jin-Ho converted the facility's energy patterns into transmittable signals. Hae-Yoon monitored everyone's health as they worked without rest. Finally, everything was ready. The creatures outside had finished their power grid. The storm raged overhead. The facility hummed with gathered energy. Remember, Do-hyun said to his team, we're not just Deathworlders because we're strong or because we can survive anywhere. We're Deathworlders because we never stop trying to find a better way. Jin-Ho pressed the transmission control. Energy pulsed from the facility in a new pattern. A greeting. An invitation to communicate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, from outside, the creatures' energy fields changed. They were responding, not with aggression, but with their own patterns, their own attempt at communication. Myrae worked quickly to decode the exchange. When she looked up, there were tears in her eyes. They want to learn, she said. They want to understand. All this time, they weren't trying to attack us. They were trying to understand what we were doing, just like we were trying to understand them. The breakthrough had come not from fighting or hiding, but from doing what humans did best, finding a way to turn enemies into allies. Just as the team began to understand the creatures, the facility's main computer released a harsh warning sound. Red lights flashed through every corridor. The terraforming core is overloading, Taiwan called out from his station. All this energy exchange between us and the creatures, it's affecting the main systems. Myrae rushed to check the readings. The core was never meant to handle this kind of power flow. It's becoming unstable. Through the security screens, they could see the creatures outside becoming agitated. Their energy fields flickered wildly as the facility's power surged. How long do we have? Do-hyun asked, already moving toward the main control room. Minutes, maybe, Taiwan answered. The core is going to release all its stored energy at once. If that happens, he didn't need to finish. They all knew it would destroy everything for kilometers around. Hae-Yoon's medical scanner was giving dangerous readings. The energy levels are already affecting our bodies. We need to evacuate now. But Jin-Ho had more bad news. The rescue beacon just picked up a signal. There's an academy ship approaching, but they're still 20 minutes out. Do-hyun looked at his team, then at the screen showing the creatures outside. They had trusted the humans enough to try communicating. He couldn't just leave them to die. Myrae, he said quickly, can we send them a warning? Tell them to run. Myrae was already working at her console, sending energy pulses in the patterns they had learned. The creatures responded immediately, but not how they expected. They're not running, Myrae said, surprised. They're offering to help. They understand power better than we do. They've been living with it for generations. A new alarm sounded. Parts of the facility were beginning to crack under the power strain. "We have a choice," Do-hyun told his team. "We can run now, try to get far enough away before the core explodes, or we can work with the creatures, try to stop it. But if we stay and fail, we're Deathworlders," Hae-yoon said firmly. "We don't run from problems. We solve them." The others nodded. They were tired, hungry, and scared, but giving up wasn't in their nature. "Ta-won, what if we used their power grid?" Jin-ho suggested suddenly. "They built it to match our systems. Could we use it to help drain off the excess energy?" Ta-won's eyes lit up. "If we modify the facility's output channels, redirect the flow. May-ray, tell them we need them to adjust their grid pattern." The next few minutes were chaos. The team worked desperately as the facility shook around them. Through it all, the creatures outside stayed, adjusting their energy network according to May-ray's signals. The core's power levels kept rising. Warning messages flashed across every screen. The air itself seemed to crackle with electricity. "It's not enough," Ta-won shouted over the noise. "We need more power capacity." "The creatures are offering something else," May-ray called out. "They want us to link our systems directly to their bodies. They can absorb the excess energy themselves." "That could kill them," Hae-yoon protested. "They know," May-ray said softly. "They're choosing to help us, just like we chose to help them." Do-hyun made the hardest decision of his life. "Do it, but route as much power as you can through the facility first. We'll take as much strain as we can before it hits them." The next moments would stay with them forever. Human and alien technology working together. 5 cadets and a group of evolved creatures fighting to prevent a disaster. The facility's walls groaned under the pressure. Energy arced between the building and the creature's grid in beautiful, dangerous patterns. And somewhere above them, a rescue ship was racing against time to reach them. 3 months after the incident on Nexus 7, Do-hyun stood before the Galactic Federation Council. His team sat behind him, wearing their formal kitted uniforms. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. "Cadet Park," the council leader said, "please explain to us once more what happened in those final moments at the facility." Do-hyun looked at the assembled aliens with confidence. "The creatures of Nexus 7 saved our lives," he said clearly. "They worked with us to prevent the terraforming core from exploding. They risked their own lives to protect not just us, but their entire world." The rescue ship had arrived just as the power stabilized. They found the facility standing, the core safely powered down, and something unprecedented: humans and evolved creatures working together using alien technology in ways its creators never imagined. The Academy's original survival exercise was meant to test if humans could handle extreme conditions, May-ray added when invited to speak. "But we learned something more important. We learned that being a Deathworlder isn't just about surviving. It's about finding new solutions, making unexpected allies, and choosing to help others even when it's dangerous." Hae-yoon presented her medical findings next. The creatures didn't just survive the energy absorption. They adapted to it, grew stronger. Their intelligence continues to develop. They're not just animals anymore. They're becoming a new sapient species. The council members murmured among themselves. Many had doubted the wisdom of allowing humans into the Academy. Now they had to reconsider everything they thought they knew about Deathworlders. Ta-won and Jin-ho shared their technical analysis. The facility was now a joint research station, where humans and the creatures they now called the Storm Dancers worked together to understand the terraforming technology. "The Carthy tried to force the planet to change," Jin-ho explained. "They saw the local life as obstacles to be removed. We saw them as potential partners. That's the human difference." The council leader stood. "When we first allowed humans into the Academy, many thought it was a mistake. They said you were too aggressive, too unpredictable. But you have shown us something remarkable. You turned a potential disaster into a breakthrough. You chose communication over conflict. You risked your lives not just to survive, but to protect a species that others had dismissed as mere animals. Do-hyun felt pride as he looked at his team. They were tired, still recovering from their ordeal, but they had changed the galaxy's understanding of what humans could do. The Storm Dancers have requested regular contact with humans, the council leader continued. They say they want to learn from us. This is unprecedented in our history. A new species asking specifically to work with Deathworlders. The council's decision was unanimous. The human training program would be expanded. The academy would create new courses focusing on human problem-solving methods, and the 5 cadets would become instructors, teaching others what they had learned on Nexus 7. As they left the council chamber, Do-hyun's team walked together through the academy's halls. Through a window, they could see Earth shining in the distance. "You know what's funny?" Hae-yoon said softly. "The whole time we were in that facility, we thought we were just trying to survive. But we were really proving something about all humans." Mireille nodded. "That we're not just strong because our world is harsh. We're strong because we never stop trying to understand, to help, to make things better. Even when those things are giant, energy-absorbing alien creatures." Jin-ho grinned. "Especially then." Ta-won laughed. Do-hyun looked at his friends. No, his family now, after everything they had been through. "Ready for our next challenge?" he asked. Teaching the galaxy what Deathworlders can really do. Their answers came without hesitation. They were ready. They were human. And they had a whole galaxy of possibilities ahead of them.